get tornadoes in severe thunderstorm watches, so keep that in mind. But what stands out, Chris, is this one, the PDS watch.
Right, and it has yet to really pick up there in Arkansas and Tennessee and northern Mississippi, but future radar and all indications are the ingredients are still coming together for the main line as it gets in there and out ahead of the main line as well, is where there could be some dangerous weather. And you kind of see that here, the dark red here almost has like a burgundy or even black in there. So that's getting into the most favorable. It might be hard to tell, but there is another color right there, and that is that color. So most favorable for tornadoes. When you take all the factors that goes into that for the parameter here, you're seeing that big uptick.
So one of the big takeaways for folks who live in eastern Arkansas, who live in the Memphis area, who maybe live over here towards Cape Girardeau, where you had some of those really darker colors with the tornado parameters being almost off the scale, that when these lines of storms reach your neighborhood, it could really be explosive, and you could have stronger tornadoes as a result of those more favorable conditions as it moves in. Right now, we've got our line here, which includes almost in the Little Rock. It's on the west side of town where we have a severe thunderstorm warning, but notice all the tornado warnings with this too.
Yeah, and you even see the little appendages here. Not maybe as obvious as some of them, but just these little appendages showing these are rotated. The atmosphere is absolutely set up to have these thunderstorms rotate tonight, and that continues into tomorrow.
It does. So we've got a warning up here towards Conway right now. It's severe thunderstorms to the west of Little Rock. No tornado possible tag on them, but we'll see how these develop. So notice, these are the ones that are just getting started. So they may strengthen and evolve and get a little bit more rotation as they get closer towards Little Rock into those more favorable tornado parameter areas where our shear is really high. We have a greater amount of instability, and those factors all coming together to make an environment ripe for tornadoes to occur. So Little Rock, this should be arriving for you around 10:30, just a little bit before that. Regardless if it's a tornado warning or not, you're going to have a damaging wind threat, and I think it's always a good idea just to get to your basement or to your tornado safe place anyway. And we're getting to the late night hours in a lot of these spots. The kids are in bed, right? You don't want to wake them up. I know. Maybe have a family sleepover in the basement. That would be such a good idea for a lot of these places tonight. It's so important to do stuff like that if you have the opportunity.
Tornado emergency now. Heather's highlighting this for us.
Okay.
Catastrophic threat. This is an observed tornado. Includes Van Buren here in Carter County.
All right, so here's Poplar Bluff. I think people are fairly familiar with Poplar Bluff, Missouri. That's to the north and west of there. This is right along Highway 60. I'm guessing we don't have the higher resolution radar available on this one right now, do we, Heather? All right, we're working on it, all right? We're getting the first couple of scans. It might take a minute. It looks like we're in kind of a crossover area between different radars, so the resolution's not that great. But when you get a tornado emergency, what that means is that a tornado has been confirmed. It's moving through a populated area, and the danger is extremely high. A lot of times, folks who live here in Arkansas don't have basements, so you got to get to that low level. Are you getting it up on your phone there for the latest of the location? It's near Van Buren, obviously.
Van Buren, particularly dangerous situation, damaging tornadoes. Emergency management confirming damage southwest of Fremont. So that's what's going to do it, right? Because oftentimes as we're trying to show the velocity there, you get to a weird radar kind of zone. It's hard to say, for sure. So you kind of wonder when you get the emergency, something probably happened, that someone got some eyeballs on something. In this case, it looks like it was some damage. So life-threatening situation, of course, when we're talking about this, is a take cover now situation with any tornado warning. But again, just that extra emphasis of the fact that this is a storm that's producing a tornado that has already done damage.
Right. You can see a little bit of that hook shape here as well. It's just the resolution isn't as good. You can't pick out as many fine details, but we do see that shape. We do see that right over Van Buren. That's the city that's being highlighted here as being under the tornado emergency. If that holds together, it would be moving on up towards the Piedmont area as well. But Van Buren, take this very seriously. Get the kids, wake them up if that's what you got to do. Get the pets, take take everybody to the basement. You want to have a helmet on. If you have a helmet, a bike helmet is a really good thing to use, and have shoes with you in case there's damage and there's debris. You can protect your feet as you're getting out.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, and you hate to think about it, but the idea is that your home could be torn apart. There could be 2x4s around. There could be nails sticking out. So that's why you bring all that stuff in there. Another point, Jackie, that is going to be characteristic not just tonight but tomorrow. This storm is moving at 60 miles an hour. So these are moving at highway speeds here. And, hopefully that's not as much of an issue. People are where they need to be, and they're easily, going to be able to get to the safe location. Right. But they're clipping along, and they can sneak up on you.
They certainly can. As it moves quickly, it also can give you a little bit less warning than you normally would have. So if you live in the watch area, and just a quick reminder of the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means that conditions are ripe for tornadoes or severe thunderstorms to occur. A warning means it's happening now. I like to tell, especially if I do school talks, that kind of thing, tell kids, warning means take cover. That's all you need to know. If there is a warning, get to your safe place, and that's a good rule of thumb here for tonight. Does look like St. Louis downtown, by the way, is no longer under the tornado warning. Looks like it's all on the east side of St. Louis now. As we were looking earlier, that looked like the area of rotation as it moved on, so it looks a little better. We also have reports in Rolla, by the way, with that same cell, some damage. So we know that there's been some damage in Rolla, and this shows you all of the storm reports. Not necessarily damage, right? It could be wind, it could be a hail report. And there you see some of the tornado reports here too.
And so this is a widespread threat with multiple threats. The tornadoes, again, some of the most violent, but even out ahead of it with some of those storm reports, there was wind damage and wind reports.
Right. Do we want to go ahead and take a broader view of all this and maybe time this out if we can move this forward at all? We can, yeah. Looks a little choppy, so I thought maybe I'd pull up a St. Louis camera while she gets that fixed. But yeah, so it shows you, it's still lightning though, right?
Not a great evening right now, the storm that just came through.
And that's still a threat. Oh, and there I go. Here we go.
You take a look at this one right here.
There we go.
Oh, this one. Okay. So this is 11 o'clock tonight, Central Time. And here are a couple things. You can catch these individual storms, which will be, they tend to be, they have the potential for being more dangerous because they're by themselves. They can have all the ingredients in the atmosphere. They don't have to share with their storm neighbors here. Similar story out ahead of it, and it can be sometimes a 1-2 punch. But the extent of this, from Louisiana all the way up to Wisconsin.
Right, so Chicago gets it into the overnight hours. This heads up towards the Cleveland area. Look at these storms down here near Nashville, in the northern parts of Alabama, into Mississippi. That's at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and it's just going to keep going. So tomorrow we have a very significant risk, what we call a high risk of tornadoes in this white area that you have here. It's been a couple of years since the risk has been this high in the state of Alabama. So this is a rare thing. This only happens maybe a couple of times a year. I think this is our first one in 2025.
Yeah, it is. So it's significant. The signs are there coming together, and not just that there's confidence, but it's what are we confident in? What's the confidence for? It's this. Get up to a Torcon of a 9. It's close to a guarantee as you're going to get.
That's as high as it really gets,
right.
Almost on our scale. The scale goes up to 10, but a 10 is basically means it's happening,
right there.
So I haven't seen anything higher than a 9 ever in my, almost 9 years here at the Weather Channel. So notice the numbers are a little lower up here into Indiana as well as into Ohio. But if there's a number, there's a risk. I mean, this is pretty far north this time of the year to be getting a tornado risk like that. So it lets you know just how widespread the risk and the threat is going to be as we go into tomorrow. And this goes morning, noon, and night. Right? This is an all-day event as it progresses off towards the east. Yeah, the atmosphere is just absolutely charged for that. Jackson, Mississippi, you are in the very likely category for seeing damaging winds in that Torcon 9, getting about as high as it can get. All right, we'll have an update on the warnings right after this.